Is the King's Food Killing Us? By Beverly Williams, Distinguished Toastmaster. Imagine a warm brownie topped with velvety vanilla ice cream covered with creamy caramel, or your favorite flavor fresh baked cookie. The tantalizing tendrils of sugar smell search you out and draw you in until your taste buds can be delighted with your favorite sweet treat. And once you have a little, you crave more and more. Ah, truly a taste of heaven. Or is it? Have you heard of the Daniel diet? It's hard to keep track of all the different food crazes these days, but this one is based on the Bible. Instead of eating the king's food, exiled Daniel asked to consume only vegetables and water and was found healthier. Today, many people are copying that diet to increase their health. But will it? By looking at a history of sugar and flour, you will learn how most of the food we eat today is the same as that eaten only by royalty in the past, and perhaps it is not the best for us. Let's start with sugar. Sugar was unknown to the Western world until about 4 centuries ago. As recently as the 1940s, anything sweet such as dates or figs, raisins, or honey was so valued, it was given as gifts. Sugarcane was first cultivated on the island of New Guinea off of Australia and spread through local trade to India. During the Muslim conquest of the 8th century, sugar made it to the Mediterranean, where small quantities were grown and produced. The Crusades brought sugar to Northern Europe in the 12th century, but its rarity made it a very expensive spice or for use as medicine only. As Europe began to colonize the New World, they realized that the Caribbean islands and areas nearby with tropical climates were better suited for sugarcane growth than the Mediterranean. Sugarcane cultivation and processing was so labor-intensive and dangerous that you couldn't hire any sane person to do it. Therefore, plantation owners enslaved people for the job. Slaves endured brutal suffering and death to satisfy the sweet tooth of their colonial masters. In the 15th century, only royal chefs used sugar. By the 18th century, cookbooks for the rich included sugar because even though the European population merely doubled, their use of sugar increased 20 times. This was due to the world trade popularizing bitter drinks such as coffee, tea, and chocolate. Thus, sugar went from a rarity to a luxury. A century later, when the Industrial Revolution brought the masses together in factory towns, sugar became commonplace to feed the workers as it was cheaper, more satisfying, and easier to store than the more nutritious vegetables and meat, which required not yet invented refrigeration. Fast forward to today, when it's hard to find any prepared food sold at an American grocery store that does not have added sugar. After all, sugar makes everything taste better. A National Institute of Health 2007 study of mice showed that sugar is more addictive than cocaine. Haven't you noticed that once you eat sugar, all you want is more sugar? What about wheat and kings? At first, wheat was roughly ground into flour by hand using 2 stones. Then human and animal-powered grist mills. And then as technology advanced, we got wind or water-powered grist mills to grind our grain. This made a hard, brown, chewy bread that was acceptable for the general public. But royalty demanded finer foods. Kings had a slew of servants to sift their flour, submissively straining it through several sieves to remove the germ and the bran to get white flour. White flour made lighter, softer, and fluffier breads and pastries. With the expansion of the railroads and at the same time the Industrial Revolution, gathering people into cities who needed to be fed, the ingenious United States figured out a fast mechanized way to remove that ugly bran and oily germ from the wheat berry. This resulted in a white flour that would last longer and travel better because it wouldn't go rancid. The few critics who complained that the nutrients had been removed were at best ignored and at worst ridiculed, because now everyone could have the soft white bread and pastries and eat like kings. Today, most of our diet consists of enriched white flour and sugar. Obesity, diabetes, heart disease, among other life-threatening illnesses, can they all be traced to our more refined, kingly diet? When you fill up on easily available sugary treats, do you have much room left or desire to eat healthier vegetables? I can tell you, as someone who hasn't eaten flour or sugar for 8 years, it isn't easy to do in our culture. Social situations center around mostly sugared bread products because, well, they taste better. I'm not telling you this to convert you to the Daniel diet or even to my eating habits, but as food for thought. I challenge you over the next week to keep a food diary of not only what you eat, but how you feel after you eat it. Then maybe you will be better able to judge if the king's food is killing us or you. Thank you.